Alright, so now we have NOIR'S kit over here. We're going to check out the Twin Sisters kits together, see how it is. I wanted to break this off into a separate video, so I'm going to do a deep dive of it and just compare it and give my little take on everything. So today, let's jump into it. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. Helps out a ton. But before we do check out the kit itself, I do want to show you something, right? Now, you have to understand that, again, how these characters work is they're basically sisters, right? And because of that, they wanted to make it where, the devs wanted to make it, where these characters will buff each other if they exist on the same team. That is what the operation is as stated, correct? So what the buff is basically right here. Rabbit Twins W for Blanc. This is where her buff kicks in if you team her up with Noir. That's how that's going to go. Lucky Guard is a standalone piece. Doesn't have to be used with anything. It just works with her. No need for Noir there. This, again, not needed. Just this, which the thing is, this is why it's a problem. That is a great freaking buff. What you get here, you drop your cooldown of burst skill by 40 seconds. That means you have a 20-second burst constantly. That is huge. And basically that only procs or will proc when you have Noir on your team and she's alive, right? It's very simple. It's a freaking good buff. So that's how it works hand in hand. Now, Noir also has a part of her kit which is restricted because you have to own Blanc to get it working. That's the same way. Each character, or both of them, have one specific thing that will tie to each other, where if you want to proc that, you gotta own both. That's how that's gonna work, keep that in mind. So if I hop over here, this is Noir, right? Correct? We know this, she's a burst 3, which is big. So burst 3, that's the first thing. The other one, Blanc, is a burst 2. So again, realize now you're blocking off a burst 2 and a burst 3 slot on your team. That's the first thing, okay? The assets here are amazing, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna tell it to you honestly. But here, this is where it kicks into the problem, right? This is a standalone kit, right? That's it. Basic, this works for just her, this works for just her. The burst on this one is where the restriction comes in. I want to explain it. Activates when above 70%, affects all allies, caster's attack goes up by 40% constantly. It's pretty good actually, right? And with Blanc's healing, that's huge. So you'll remain above 70% and you'll be able to do 14% extra damage. So that's actually pretty nice. Rabbit Twins B activates when entering full burst. Affects all allies. The max ammunition capacity goes up by 5 rounds for 10 seconds. The reload is 40% increased, or 40% of the magazines, which is big, all right? So that's there. Those are the skills. Now we kick into the burst skill, and this is where it gets a little bit weird, right? The part that is restricted, we're going to ignore everything. Let's say you don't get Blanc and you're just going for her, right? If you do that, and you theoretically never burst with this character, okay, you're losing a huge chunk of a buff, but technically you're not really missing the buff, if you will, right? If you get what I'm trying to say there, it sounds stupid, but if you never burst, this character will just do these two things, and that's how she'll work on her own. That's how you have to envision it, all right? Because the thing that you're losing activates when an ally in the same squad still on the battlefield, affects all allies. The hit rate goes up for 30 seconds. The damage to interruption part is 20% for 30 seconds. That's what you're losing. If you burst, you're not getting this. You're basically just getting affects all enemies, deals 350% of attack as damage, and now this is where it also is more restricted. This is why this character is a little bit restricted. You need to run shotgun comp to benefit even more. Affects all allies with a shotgun. Hit rate goes up by 13 seconds, or 13% for 10 seconds. Damage to interruption part is up by 23% for 10 seconds, right? But that's only going to affect allies with a shotgun, yeah? So this character is pretty restricted in where if you want to get the most benefit out of her, gotta run shotgun comp. Which, do you need a shotgun comp right now? That's the thing you have to ask yourself. If you're gonna run like that in some sort of boss or whatever, that is there. But for future longevity of shotgun characters, she's gonna be great, and so is Blanc, right? And yes, with this entire burst, I think it mainly screams Gravedigger, right? That's what you get from this. That's what you're expecting. That's what you're seeing with this character. So you can look at it, right? This is how you should approach these banners and how you should kind of think of it in the back of your head. That they're good characters for what it is. I do think that she's like Gravedigger and maybe for longevity. Theoretically, if you care for PvP, this could be a very good team comp. And again, it's waifu. So up to you what you want to do in the waifu part. They are waifu characters. They are pretty cool. They're bunny characters. People love bunny characters. So across the board, there is that. But I do think that if you are pulling as a free-to-play, you shouldn't pull. Yeah? Again, this kit screams you are limited to shotgun comp, so you have to run shotgun comp. But for a shotgun comp, that is pretty big. You do have hit rate up, you do have damage interruption up, but again, that's like Gravedigger, right? So you have some sort of restrictions on this character being good for some subset of content. But I do think longevity-wise, it's there. But if you're looking at the character to pull day one, I would say wishlist them. I would say that's the best bet. Maybe pull one, wishlist the other. I do think Blanc is the more star of the show, but then again, to make her even more of a star of the show, you have to get that cooldown down to 20 seconds, right? 60, I mean, that's fine, but dropping a 40-second cooldown is a big drop, yeah? And without getting her, what are you gonna do? You're missing majority of that buff, right? So at the end of the day, you have to look at it that way, that, remember, you're missing out if you don't pull for this character versus that character. You gotta pull for both. So run into this knowing that, but I do think the kit wise, it's pretty good. Again, I want to future proof it by saying, like, let's see what happens. Shotgun comp is more restricted, being like in the need of Blanc is also restriction, so it's there. Yes, the buff does occur, and it does also help Blanc on the side. So overall, it's good hand in hand. Solo, we can question. I do want to see it before I say anything there, because they could be good on their own. They could, right? But I do think it's more restricted, and that's how you should approach it. So again, at the end of the day, think about what you're going to do there and how you can team up with other characters, and then you can at least have an idea on how the kit is. But again, the burst is where the restriction kicks in here. For Blanc, it's the skill 2, which is a cooldown, which is of 40 seconds. Again, which is big, and you know that. And again, the comp will have to be shotgun characters, theoretically. If you want to go and buff those, that's where most of it kicks into. So again, it depends on how you build your team. You'll also have to work on where you build it, all right? Like what burst 1, burst 2, burst 3, and how the formation is. That will have to switch up in building this. So at the end of the day, there's all of this kicking into play that you have to keep in mind when you do go with everything. So I just realized that I do think there's some characters that would really work with these characters also. So it's going to be fun to team build and see how that goes. But yes, it is limited, right? It is that being a little bit of a thing. I just wonder right here what this character, what is it? Critical damage up, hit rate up, attack speed up, critical this. Yeah, I was just checking something, don't worry. But there is some decent things you can do there with this entire bunny squad comp. So keep that in the back of your head. I do think that it's more if you pull one, you pull the other. That's how it's going to go. But again, they're waifus. Just have fun. See how they are when team building occurs. I do think she's more of a gravedigger unit, but we'll see. Yeah, things change. She could be very, very good. And again, don't draw that comparison to Dorothy, because I already know people are doing that. Like, oh, compared to Dorothy, this is definitely not on par. Dorothy's a support / DPS, okay? She's a support character. Support characters already get high placed on every tier list. And then she is a very strong DPS character. And then she is a half Annie unit and a Pilgrim, okay? And they're going to be strong, so don't compare the two. But still, this is wish list material. I would say so. They are good, they are strong, but wish list is the best way to approach it. But again, the kits do go hand in hand, so keep it in the back of your head. So at the end of the day, decide what you want to do, but that's my little 10 cents on the kit there. A little bit of a kit breakdown. Again, just, you know, that's there with the shotgun restriction, with the Blanc and Noir together restriction. Then you have to change how you build your 1, 2, 3 bursts. So again, you have to consider that. There's a lot in this, but I think you can formulate some good things. And I think that this could be like a PvP stomping team. Though I don't play PvP, and I mentioned this thoroughly, I don't play PvP. So I don't want to give wrong information, but I do think this has some potential for it from what I've seen and what the talks I've had with people. And I think that we've come to a conclusion that, yeah, should be pretty strong and pretty solid in PvP. Gravedigger and other stuff, so that's where this character shines. But there is more content and testing that has to occur day one before we get a conclusion that's solid, right? That's my 10 cents.